You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 186. My name is Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram and 5cardguys.com. With me co-hosting as usual is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards. And John again couldn't be here this week, but he should be back for our next episode. All right, off the top, I just saw a tweet by Topps, and I didn't know what to think of it, to tell you the truth. So what I saw was that it was a photo of what looks like a wooden bat, okay? Presumably that belonged to Babe Ruth. And the caption on that photo says, quote, "We've added a new Babe Ruth bat to the Relic room," end quote. So the implication is that this Babe Ruth bat will be cut up and the pieces will be used in a Relic card, in a future set.
Right. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. But before you chime in, there were several comments already from collectors who couldn't, A, believe Topps would destroy a Babe Ruth bat for a Relic card, and B, others joked whether it was a game-used bat by Babe Ruth.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't, though. It couldn't. It couldn't be a game-used bat. Right. Because I think one of those game-used bats went for like $1.85 million. Right.
So it's like, then what is it though? Like, I guess others joke that it's like, oh, did he just touch it? You know what I mean? Like he's one of those.
I think the equivalent it was a mass-produced bat. It had to have been more, because I seen those similar Babe Ruth bats that Topps listed. The bat they shown was like a mass-produced model that I actually see some sales on eBay, and they go for about $500. I guess the condition of the bat does like matter, but like I know that Babe Ruth has like game used bats that like I know the famous one is like the 1920 Polo Grounds bat where he hit like 56 home runs or whatever it was, and there's pictures to identify it where PSA authenticated it, and then it's not sold on auction for like 1.8 million or whatever it was. So I'm assuming that's not what they're putting in there. Like, no. Yeah. So where it's like, sense. You're ruining it. Like, I think it's a cool element that, and I said this before, one of the biggest, I think, advantages that Fanatics has is to merge the sports memorabilia into kind of card collecting, right? Using their resources and their ability to access, like pretty cool memorabilia where maybe a bat can be cut up into however many pieces, and the best numbered ones is the nameplate or whatever, the label of the bat. I don't know how they do it. I'm sure they can make it look cool, but I think personally it's a great idea because for me, I was reading somewhere, and I could be misquoting this wrong, but someone was saying that the industry of sports memorabilia will in 2032 like reach up to like the $250 billion mark, like a $250 billion like marketplace, right? So for me, it's far from that right now, right? So it's like there's a lot of room to grow in terms of the whole landscape of sports card plus sports memorabilia. They go hand in hand. So it makes sense for me to use game use stuff, especially with the Topps update releasing the debut patches, and then now they're starting to implement old pieces into relics, which I think are cool because we always said relics suck. So it's like, how do you bring back cool relics? True. Right? You got to have something worth it, not just a piece of white cloth, napkin, underwear, patch, whatever it is, right? Like nobody wants that. Everybody has a bad taste of relics. And that was, I think, Topps is doing previous, pre-Fanatics. They just never had the resources to do a good patch. So for me, something like this is innovative. It might be kind of like stupid to the purist because you're right. Why would you cut like a vintage memorabilia piece that's nice, right? But then like you could justify that with anything. Why do you collect cards that have autographs? Right? So it's like, it's the same thing, right? It's like, it brings a cool element to collecting, and I don't see it hurt in value. I think if they use pretty cool pieces that are actually valuable and you got a piece of that, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like as you're explaining, this could not be a game used bat because it would be in a museum most likely. Right. So just to be clear then, the bats that Topps probably got are these mass produced bats during that era,
during the era. It's definitely older, like it's from that era. Right. And you could tell by, I believe, the labels. They have 3 different generations of labels of when the bat was produced, so I'm assuming that's what it. I never did any research on it though, so take it with a grain of salt. But
that would make more sense. Yeah, that would make more sense. Okay, I think that's where the confusion is. Like, people, I'm sure there are people out there that genuinely think, oh, this is a game used bat, it's a part of history. No, like, See, I think that.
On the other hand, though, now you go back to sets like Topps Transcendent.
Right.
That's where you should put $1 million, bat within pieces, right? Like, if people are paying $25,000 a box and you're getting $2,000 worth of cards, people are pretty pissed. Everybody says the same thing. It's like these high-end sets make no sense in terms of the ROI, right? So,
I'm with you. That's interesting. Maybe Topps does buy a game used Babe Ruth bat and puts in a Transcendent set and. Like, just pair it with a cut auto of Babe Ruth. Oh man,
that's going to be big time.
That could be 6 figures.
Yeah,
easily,
easily.
Right? So, so there you go. Another idea for Topps for super high end collectors. All right, let's move on to hobby headlines. So again, on Twitter, or X now as it's now called, I saw a tweet by PSA this time, the grading company, and they took a photo of Corbin Carroll holding up his own Superfractor card from the Topps Chrome Cosmic set.
Really cool.
And it's cool to see that for sure. And he was holding up his own card, and he got a PSA 9. So no special treatment for Corbin Carroll, apparently. sorry, Corbin. Anyway,
well,
I wanted to.
He got the wrong Superfractor.
Yeah. The Topps Chrome Cosmic. Come on, Corbin.
Yeah, you gotta go for your Bowman
still needs
Chrome.
to learn.
Come on. He's a rookie.
He's learning. Yeah.
He's a minimum paycheck. MLB paycheck.
Not for long. He'll get his.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll get paid
soon enough. And then he'll be able to afford his Bowman Chrome. Super. But what I wanted to talk about was the fact that there seems to be more professional athletes like Corbin Carroll who seem to be really into the hobby, right? And there was a cool story on Fangraphs that I read recently, and it actually talked about his teammate Evan Longoria being a huge collector, which he got into during the pandemic, so fairly recently. Yeah. And Corbin attributes Longoria for getting him into the hobby as well, right? And we also talked about Bobby Witt Jr. in past episodes, how he's into the hobby, how he's handing out PSA slab cards of himself to young fans. Yeah, and we did an episode on pitcher Matt Strom, who collected cards of players who hit home runs off of him, and then of course there's Mike Trout, who collects as well, and he gifted one of his WBC cards to his former teammate Shohei Ohtani. A lot of players into the hobby now, and that's just baseball, right? So, question for you: what do you think of more athletes getting into the hobby, and do you think it'll make any kind of impact on growing the hobby, or is this a kind of cool thing to see?
I think one, it's super, super cool that these guys are into it. I think it's super cool because now there's this bridge between you and these so-called MLB superstars. Right? There's a common denominator where, hey, if you pull a Corbin Carroll Superfractor, I know Jordan Lawler's a huge collector. He's buying super rare Bowman Chrome cards. So it just gives that extra piece of liquidity. If you did want it, a cool story. Hey, I pulled a Jordan Lawler card and sold it to him, or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. So I think it's super cool that guys are collecting. even stuff like Benny Montgomery, he had that Borat card going out, right. With special inscriptions. Like, these guys are having fun with it. It's exactly what I think the game needs. I think it's what the sports card industry needs, because it's a way to connect them. It's not like, okay, these guys just sign it and they don't care. Like, these guys are true collectors. You might have something very valuable to them that is of them, right? So I think there's really cool stories that I'm sure collectors all over the US, maybe they've ran into interactions with MLB players and stuff like that, where, it might be a pretty cool experience. I'm sure there's a lot of stories floating around there, but I think it's great for the hobby. I think it's great for baseball. I think it's a way to connect, the youth coming up, because these guys are super young, 21 years old, and it's not us old, junk wax era type collectors, and we're just trying to get the younger generation in the game. It's like, this is the perfect way to get them in the game, is them seeing their, favorite superstar being a collector, right? To me, there's no better hobby as a baseball fan than collecting baseball cards.
Yeah. I mean, like, I know you're in the game personally before, but like, if you were in it right now, could you see yourself doing what, like, in that same Fangraphs article that I just mentioned before, Longoria is like all in, apparently. He's like, he goes to like Bryce Harper or like guys on the other team, and he's swapping jerseys with them.
That's amazing.
Having them sign it.
I would so do that. Yeah. I would so do that. I even heard LeBron James has 2 of his exquisite RPAs, or the exquisite autos at number 299, right? So to me, even that, with the news we talked about last episode of LeBron signing with Fanatics, like, stuff like that is massive news. Like, the fact that LeBron has his own rookie cards, for you to have that same exquisite auto of LeBron, that's a massive card now, because same with the Trout Ohtani card. If you had something that Trout wanted, I mean, that's pretty cool. Right.
I love that, because, it adds like another level of experience in collecting in the hobby. You know what I mean? Like, where you could actually interact with your heroes, like the stars of the game, like at a whole new level, and I know some of you guys laughed at me, but like, even something super gimmicky like the follow me card, where
you get a follow back.
If you get it, you get a follow back from your, whoever the card is. Like Vladdy has one, right?
Yeah.
Which reminds me, I'm gonna see how much they're going for now. I totally forgot about that until I brought it up right now.
The follow back card?
Just that level. Yeah, right. It's like, I know it's like in the thousands. It's kind of, I would never pay for that, but it just adds a level of interactivity with the players that you're actually collecting, which is a cool thing. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't surprise me that we're hearing more players getting into the hobby, because you could say it's coincided with Fanatics taking over, them pushing the marketing. Like,
for sure.
We've already seen commercials now with Julio Rodriguez.
Right.
We've seen commercials with Ronald Acuna Jr. Just promoting both the hobby, and it was one of those things like, man, it should have been done so much long ago, and now it's in a way becoming cool to collect. Sure. Because these younger guys are doing it.
Yeah, and I think there's so much potential out there and that's the thing we don't know, how the industry is going to look in 2 years, and not in terms of the marketplace where, our sports card's expensive or they're dropping or whatever it is. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the collectability of the utility. We talk about utility all the time. It's like, these guys are getting more involved, and then collectability becomes more of an experience, right? It's like more of a fan experience, a way to connect with, kind of like beyond that same kind of like, I guess the level that these professional athletes, we don't know where it's going to go, and it's based on technology, right? It could totally change, but the fact that it's starting is what I'm looking at, right? And it never happened before, because there was no innovative company like the pre-Fanatics Topps to take on bigger, goals for collectability. And obviously Topps didn't have the resources, but Fanatics does. So they're throwing everything at it right now, which I love to see. This is what we talked about. And from the outside, yeah, you could see it as, oh, Fanatics is trying to do this. They're ruining the hobby. Yes, I agree that it's not the same as yesterday, but I also know that yesterday's hobby wasn't the greatest either, right? So it's like, for me, change is inevitable, and this is the direction I'd like to see it go, even though people are casting stones. I'm fully aware that people are casting stones at Fanatics and Topps, and sometimes I do, but in the big picture, I think in the future longevity, it's healthy for the hobby.
Agreed. Yeah. And, like all their ideas aren't going to be home runs, so to speak. You know what I mean? And then, but you got to try it out. And then, we could critique it, and then they could take that as feedback, and things just naturally get better, evolves. And yeah, like we all have a part in terms of trying to improve the hobby. And, the more we're into it, the better it is for everyone, I think.
Like go back to the Taco Fractor, for instance. Probably one of the worst campaigns, but the best marketing. Like it's weird. It's like the marketing worked, but it was so bad, like the idea. And then like the Frozen Fractors, there's nothing to back that up. So it's like, that's the kind of like, I guess the process or the journey of Fanatics getting to that end goal. It's like, hey, remember the time they did Taco Fractors?
Right.
Oh man.
Well, I mean, we've had multiple episodes based on that, and we came up with like what we believe is are better ideas based on like how poorly it was executed. And like I'm telling you, this is probably my 7th time mentioning it on this podcast. Pizza Fractor is the way to go. Okay, go listen back to one of our previous episodes. Better utility for the Pizza Fractor. Like always room to improve and build on even things like the Taco Fractor campaign that we were just talking about. Speaking of which, is there anything else, like even from a short to mid-term future, that you would want to see athletes do to even promote the hobby or market the hobby even further than they've already done so far?
I think a great way is what they're doing now. It's like you expose kind of the collectors within the game out of all sports, or you get guys to kind of get more involved. Like there's obviously a lot of baseball guys. I'm sure in the minors now, that's kind of a trend with like guys like Benny Montgomery, and they're getting millions and millions of views. They wouldn't get it elsewhere, right? So for me, I think just going down that route of getting players to get into the hobby, get them more involved in wanting to be a part of the hobby, whether it's like utility, whether it's like special things that they partner up with Fanatics, and maybe it's not just cards that you're pulling, maybe it's an experience that you get to pull, maybe it's something different where it's more player to fan engagement. And I think MLB should be on board with that, because it's a way to grow the game. They've already partnered up with them with the patch debut, which makes sense because I'm sure MLB's getting a great kickback and also marketing from that as well.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So I think they're doing the right things. I'm interested to see, because I wouldn't say this is kind of like my area of expertise where I'm like, oh, look at the potential and possibilities. I like to see, because I only could do whatever I can do based on my resources. Someone like Michael Rubin has a little more resources than me, so it's like I'm excited to see what someone like that would kind of like bring to the table, right? So I'm enjoying it so far. Do I agree with all of them? I'm not saying I'm Fanatics fan, like we're getting paid. It's like honestly, I don't even like read any content regarding Fanatics. I don't know anything about it, no attachment, but I like what they're doing. I think they're doing the right thing, and the hobby is becoming a better experience overall, and I'm already seeing it. Maybe we won't see it now because all the comments get more negative feedback rather than positive feedback. But I think in the long term, like I said again, it's the long-term sustainability that I'm more excited about.
Yeah, I am as well. Like a couple of ideas from me is, one of it's already based on what Michael Rubin's been already doing with his connections. Like when he brought Tom Brady to that local card shop. if you could widen that, like you don't, instead of having Michael Rubin make all those connections, you have the company Fanatics kind of systemize that a little bit. And why not get like the stars of whatever team go into their local card shops? Like, do a kind of imagine Julio Rodriguez one day goes into a Seattle card shop to do a signing or like give out cards, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be great.
And you could do that for every city, because every city has at least one star on their team, and just kind of arrange that with local card shops. So you got that kind of involvement with the LCS there. This is kind of a more creative thought. I'm like, I'm trying to think. It might have been good for like our Just a Thought segment, where we just kind of brainstorm anything out there. But how about like if you get a collector like Bobby Witt Jr., like, guys that are really into it, okay? And they have an exclusive set, okay, of their own cards, 5 or 10, whatever. And, he personally numbers them. And it has like a special inscription. He only writes it on those 5 or 10 cards. Oh,
interesting.
And he has one of them, right? And then the other 9 you kind of like give away, or you insert into whatever set as kind of like major hits. But, that added factor of knowing that Bobby Witt has the 1 of 10 or 1 of 5.
Right.
And then the rest is like, for hardcore collectors or fans of Bobby Witt Jr., it's like, oh, this is cool. I got a card that Bobby Witt also has. And, he won't sell it himself, right?
Right.
But you have that special connection.
Yeah, no, I think that's sick. Like that would be on the same lines as having that personal connection and personal touch with that MLB player, right? So having a story, and I think inscriptions are super cool. Like I think those are kind of like one of the most, I guess, overrated, underrated kind of thing out there. Like because you're seeing a lot more inscriptions, but I think as inscriptions age, they get better, because you're so used to seeing Shohei's regular auto, and then you see a Shohei inscripted auto of something different. It's super cool, right? So same with like Tom Brady, the one card that he wrote about, if football doesn't work out, there's always baseball or whatever. Like stuff like that, I think is such a sought after. The Borat rendition from Benny Montgomery, like things like that, I think is super, super cool. That like even me, if I got one of those, it would be more of a PC than kind of like a flip, because you're just like, holy, like Bobby Witt, has one of these and there's only 10 in the world, right? And then, he becomes a superstar in the future, that card would be way more sought after than, his typical Bowman Chrome auto.
And while you're talking, so he could inscribe to something like, hey, thanks for being in my top 10 club. And he's got one of them, and then the other 9 goes to whoever, right? So that's just, the unique subscription. Plus, if you have that special inscribed card of 10 or of 5, whatever, every once in a while you get meet and greet. You just need to have that card, and that's your entry. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like add utility on top of an already special card. I mean, this is like
that's sick.
Next level. I think so.
But you might need NFTs for that.
I that's exactly what I was thinking.
We might beep out that word. Like it's a swear word. Hey,
we'll see in 5 years, and people were like, "Oh, the guys on Cars to the Moon, they were ahead of their time." That's all I'm saying. Okay, but utility, we love utility. I think that's the way of the future, it seems. But yeah, it's super exciting to see more of the celeb superstar players get involved, and I think we're on the same page here that we want to see more of those partnerships, those collaborations, and it'd be cool. Like once it becomes more mainstream in the hobby, right? Like if we ever got an opportunity to be part of that kind of partnership collaboration, and I think that's going to be a reality more and more so for collectors. Like right now it seems to be like a novelty, like a rare thing, but I think it's just going to be one of those things that it's almost inevitable we'll see more of.
So every year Baseball Canada has a awards banquet. So they have like an auction a silent auction that goes on in the background. And guys like Ryan Dempster, for instance, Chicago Cubs legend, and he's a Canadian too. So he would do these kind of like, I guess, these Wrigley Field dream packages where the auction consists of like 3 nights at a hotel, like a really nice hotel, a steak dinner with Ryan Dempster for 4, and then you get to go on the field for BP. You're hosted by Ryan Dempster, and these things go for like $25,000. And Ryan Dempster is a very well-spoken character, so oftentimes he would go up on the stage and do this. But then he would get 2 guys that, you know, had money, because to some people, the experience is priceless, right? So these guys are bidding like $25,000, $30,000, and then they're going back and forth. But then he would go, you know, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal. I'll do 2 weekends. You pay 30 grand, you pay 30 grand. So he would raise like 60,000 just like that. But people are willing to pay for something like that because of the experience. That kind of reminds me of the utility that, you know, these experiences that they can create these kind of like really inflated value of like a valuation where it's like you don't even know how much this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, which only can be created through utility. So it doesn't cost anything up front for a manufacturer like Fanatics or Topps or anything like that. You're doing everything utility based on relationships. And then, of course, Fanatics might have thrown here and there. But overall, I think the utility, like going back to my point on the silent auction, people are out there willing to pay for experience.
For sure, it's going to be happening more and more. I mean, how can it not? You know, it just seems like a no-brainer at this point to be able to add that tremendous value and fairly easily, right? Like if you have the connections.
Easy. Yeah.
Right? Like, why not? So hope to see more of that, especially with Fanatics involved. I'm pretty bullish on that. All right. That's a lot of great things to look forward to on that front. All right. Let's move on to our next segment we call Over Under. Okay. So we haven't done this in a while, but if you are a longtime listener, you'll know that for this segment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Hyung a specific card with a specific grade, and I'm going to throw out a dollar amount, and all you need to do is guess whether the last sold price was over or under the dollar amount I just mentioned. Okay?
Got it.
And all these cards that I'm going to mention, it's all sold within January of this month, so 2024. Okay. All recent sales. And let's start off with one of the most iconic cards in the hobby, and that of course is the Michael Jordan 1986 Fleer rookie card. A PSA 10 just sold yesterday as of this recording, and I'm going to throw out this number, $150,000. Do you think the last sold price was over or under that dollar amount?
Would you give me a clue into what peak prices were? Or is it
So the peak price, according to Card Ladder, was just under 700,000. But I did a Instagram reel of like the Michael Jordan 1986 Fleer of how much it cost in February of 2018, which was about 18,000. Okay. And then the peak, which I just mentioned, about 700K. But Cajun Cardboard, our friend of the podcast, he mentioned that there was a 800,000 plus sale that for some reason is not recorded. So that is the unofficial peak.
800,000.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the
and
unofficial
what's the
peak.
Pop, do you know the pop count?
It is steady at 322.
Oh, it's fairly a lot. I'm gonna say it's under. It has to be under. I'm saying it corrected back to 2020, just before the height price. Okay. So I'm gonna say under.
The correct answer is under. You're correct. It sold for 145,655. Yes.
So just barely under.
But Cajun Carport also mentioned this in my comments on the Instagram reel. About 8 or 9 sales before this one was averaging around 180 to 190. So right. This took a little bit of a dip.
This is the dip.
Well, I mean, it's just one data point, but we'll see what the next sale does.
It's like 70 grand. This is the dip. 50 grand. Guys, I'm telling you, you got to buy now.
Yeah, I mean, like, I also saw a lot of comments on that same reel that people are surprised that it's been steady at 150K for a 300 plus
100%.
pop count.
I'm on the same page. That's why I'm thinking that it would have went back to like 2019, 2020 prices. But yeah, 145. I think there's more room to go down with a pop 322 for sure.
I think so too. And then, you know, like, I don't know if the one photo I just saw recently was real, but there was someone that had literally a full box of MJ 1986 Fleer ungraded.
Oh,
Do you know what I
really?
mean? So that's something to, I mean, it's not really something to worry about because I think PSA out
will
of
pop control it.
You know, PSA is yes, right? Like they're gonna see it, and I'm like, it's gonna be super hard to get a 10. But anyway, all right. We talked about MJ. The next card we have to talk about LeBron James. His 2003 Topps Chrome Rookie Refractor. Okay, so it's this iconic 2003 Topps Chrome, but the refractor parallel of the card, a PSA 10. I'm gonna throw out the number 20,000.
What were peak prices? Pop count?
Let me look that up for you. 1 second.
Sorry, am I cheating by asking these peak prices? Pop count. Pop count's very important to me.
Yes. Okay,
game.
that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so the peak was under 300,000, just under 300,000 in 2021.
Holy crap!
Yep.
And
so I'm
then
throwing out 20,000.
20,000,
and the pop count. And the pop count is 177.
77. Wow. I'm gonna say it's over. I'm gonna say it's over 20,000. I think LeBron James had a big dip. I think his price probably kind of I guess went up again, but I think it might have dropped below 20,000, but it might have come back up. That's my guess.
All right. The answer is over. Wow, 2 for 2.
Nice.
It sold for 30,000 recently. Yeah.
And this is not the bottom though, right? Like from prices, his prices are going up, I would assume, a bit based off his season.
Yes. So like in December last month, 2023, it sold for under 25K.
Right. Okay.
So it is trending a bit up again over the past month.
All right.
Yep.
So I suspect in the summer it will be below 20.
So just wait if you want to get it for a good deal. All right, let's go to baseball now for card number 3. Shohei Ohtani, his Bowman Chrome PSA 10 autograph card, 2018, the one where he's batting. Not the pitching one, the batting one. Yep.
Base?
And I know you're going to... His base auto, yes.
Okay.
So pop count, 62. All right. And the peak was just under 20,000. So I'm going to throw out the number 15,000.
Ooh, 15,000. That has to be close to where it is. I would think that's like on the low end after his injury. I would say that's a $10,000 card. And then I would say the Dodgers news might have bumped it closer to the 15 mark, but I'm going to say it's under. I'm going to say around 13.
Wow, Hyung, you're good at this game. What? It is under, and it sold for $13,975.
I know
Ohtani. There you go. You're an expert on the Ohtani market. And you're right, in September of 2023, which was a previous sale before the one just this week, it sold for $13,060. So it's hovering around 14K right now. Yeah. And that might be a function of it being the off season, so things are slower. But I can see that going back up. Like the 19,500 figure was, of course, in July of last year during the height of Ohtani's.
And I remember when that card,
MVP
nobody
season.
wanted it, including me.
Oh man,
we're talking about how, hey, this guy, I don't know, his injuries, I don't know if that could hold up.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Because, 2021, I've done a lot of these graphs now on my Instagram account.
Yeah.
2021 is usually the peak, right? Where, like, everything just plummets. But for Shohei, it's the bottom. It's
right.
like the literal bottom.
Yeah, he had a bad
It's like the inverse.
Yeah.
So when everyone's going crazy about the hobby, no one was on Shohei at the time.
That's crazy.
Because April 2021, that card was valued at $2,400. So you just saw almost a 10x from that point. All right, here we go. Card number 4. I got 5 altogether. So this is card number 4. Another baseball player. This might be a little bit more difficult. Drew Jones. Remember when he was the chase for 2023 Bowman Chrome? His 2023 Bowman Chrome prospect card, base auto, graded PSA 1010, auto grade as well. Okay, so you got the dual grade.
Right.
I'm throwing out the number $700.
I gotta say it's under.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the correct answer is under 280.
What?
Can you believe that?
Are you serious? I didn't think it was that low, but it makes sense. I'm the one who shouted, sell. I was like, this guy's batting $190. Like, whoever had that super refractor, it's like, sell. I remember that. But yeah, I didn't realize how low it actually went. Because I'm just basing it off, you got guys like Jackson Churio, kind of comparables, PSA 10s, and then I'm like, okay, Drew Jones, I think the hype has died down because he had a terrible season. And yeah, that's crazy. 200, that might be a buying opportunity though.
You know what? I'm almost tempted. I'm almost tempted at 280. But I thought I would try. I thought I could get you by just, phrasing it PSA 1010. Drew Jones 2023. Remember the hype? But when I saw that number, I'm like, wow,
that is cheap. That is really
drop.
Cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, last one. This one was for Johnny. So since he's not here, I'm just gonna still throw it out. So Connor Bedard, he's got that short print card where he's number 1, and he's holding the puck on the other hand.
Right.
His Upper Deck NHL Draft short print rookie card. I haven't seen a PSA 10, so I saw a last sale of his PSA 9 graded card. Okay, 1,500. Over or under?
I'm gonna say PSA 10, the SP, right?
Yeah, this is a PSA 9 I'm talking about.
Yeah, the SP, or the I guess his first card. I'm going to say PSA 9. That seems a little high. I think it should be around 900, 1,000, I would say. So I'm going to say under.
Almost went 5 for 5.
Ah, it's hockey, that's why.
Yeah, that's right. You would have gotten it for sure if it was baseball. Wow, it sold for $2,025.
Wow.
$2,025.
That,
yeah.
Well, let's bring this back in the summer. That thing is going to fall down. Like crazy.
Right. And he's injured too, right? So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yep.
That is a healthy sale though. Well done for the person that sold Bedard and the people that were buying these at $500 and people are laughing at them for overpaying.
Yeah.
Right? I think they're doing pretty well.
The flip game's still alive. Yeah.
Flip game's still alive.
There's still ways to make money in this bear market, that's for sure. Okay, another fun round of over-under. We'll try to do more of these throughout the year. Okay, let's finish off our episode with our weekly segment we call Pick One. And this is where Hyung and I, and John, if he was here, we would throw out a couple of cards and we debate which one we would rather invest in. All right, so do you want to go first, Hyung?
Sure thing. I'll stick with baseball as usual, and we're going to go to the prospecting game. Not too wild out there. We're talking the number 1 and number 2 prospect of MLB right now. Jackson Holiday, 20-year-old, and Jackson Churio, a 20-year-old. Okay? Their first Bowman Chromes. Yeah. They're both Jacksons. Yeah, it's the year of the Jacksons. So
right.
If you're going to grab an off-season buy right now, right? Let's just say you want to invest in one of those guys. Who are you going to invest in based on prices right now? Like, I would say prices will probably start creeping up now. I think December would probably be the bottom of the off season. January, February starts coming around. They get into spring training. Prices start going up. So if you're to buy into a Jackson, would you invest in a Jackson Churio PSA 10 Bowman Chrome Auto, which sold for about $800? Or would you go with Jackson Holiday, the number 1 prospect, and it sold for just under $1,400, I think.
Ooh. Man, this sounds familiar. We did something comparable to this, I think. With it might not have been the same players, but like kind of like 2 hot prospects.
Yeah, and then the price point was the factor.
Yes. So I think the same principle is going to apply here, right? Like, I love both guys as a talent, and they're both exciting, and they both have a lot of potential, obviously, as top prospects. But they're so young, and there's so many variables, right, that you can't even predict in terms of how they'll play in their first season. You know, injuries, like anything could happen. A lot of things are in the air. So for that reason, you know, like I always go for the better deal, which is the lower value.
Yeah,
even
makes sense.
Especially when the peak is, you know, it could be higher for Churio, as I'm sure a lot of people will argue, but you know, Holiday is not that much far off if everything breaks out right for him too, right? So at that price differential, like that $600-700 discount, I'm going with Holiday every day.
Oh, you're going at least. No, the Holiday's more expensive.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm going Churio every day then. Whatever the cheaper one is.
Yeah, the better value at that point.
Yes.
Because you're saying the Jacksons are apples to apples pretty much, or at least, but then one is a lot more expensive, so the cheaper buy-in would make sense. And I'm on the exact same line of thinking, because both of them, you don't know which one's gonna pan out. I think both of them are gonna be studs, but you don't know who's gonna pan out. So I think the better opportunity would be the Jackson Churio, like discounted at almost half price. Right, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with Jackson Churio. I think Jackson Holiday, however, like this guy's gonna hit. Like the power will come, but he's gonna really, really hit. I think potentially a better hitter, better stick than Jackson Churio. Power to be debatable. Overall, we'll see. Like it's a close one, but I think both are going to be impact players at the big league level. But right now, the price, I think Jackson Churio is the winner for sure. And it was more like to prove a point. I kind of knew that you were going to pick it, but it's out there. The prices are out there. Obviously, the crowd thinks differently as of right now.
Yep.
They think it's Jackson Holiday based on the price. So my thinking is, you know, Jackson Churio has so much upside, and it makes sense based on what you talked about, and I agree with the exact same points that. And it's not like it's a long-term flip. I think it's a very short flip whenever his first initial hype goes up.
Yep, and I mean, long-time listeners will know as well. Like in terms of my investing strategy, I rarely even go for the top 5 because I think it's always inflated.
Overpriced.
I go for like I like to go for like number 6 to 10 prospects that could make the jump to 1 and 5. Right. That's always a more fun game for me to play, because you know you're not investing as much, but you could reap the rewards if you guess right. You know, like you know, Pete Crow Armstrong. I like him as
PCA,
a dark horse.
Man. I'm telling you, PCA is a very similar player to Corbin Carroll. I'm telling you, maybe not as much power.
There you go.
But like we're close. We're close. And James Wood, I'll throw that out.
James Wood too, yeah, I like that. You know, and you look at their card prices. Like I think I am definitely know that I talked about this before. PCA Blue Refractor color match, right, is going for under $1,000. Do you know what I mean? Like that's great value for me. Yeah. All right, so here's my pick one, and this is a real thing because I actually just today sold my Vladdy Guerrero Bowman Chrome, first Bowman Chrome.
Oh, interesting.
Rookie auto. Yeah, I took best offer for about $650 US, and I was looking like I want to reinvest it. Like I don't want to just keep the money. I kind of want to, you know, get something else. And I was looking at the last sale of the Vladdy Guerrero Topps Chrome Blue Refractor number to 150. So color match there. BGS 9.5 autograph. Yep. Right. Sold for just over 700. Okay. So let's say 700 as a comparison. So would you rather have that Topps Chrome Blue number to 150 for $700, or the first Bowman Chrome True gem. And that's another thing too. The Topps Chrome Blue is a min gem versus the one that I just sold, which is a true gem.
Right. Okay.
Base auto too. Yeah.
So base auto Bowman Chrome versus a Topps Chrome Blue auto. 2019 versus 2016, right? Okay, so this is funny because I'm on reverse rolls right now. So when I came into the hobby, Vladdy was a massive chase. Right? Mm-hmm. So his Bowman Chrome was so overpriced. Thousands of dollars. Right. And I got all his Topps Chrome autos. Like I had the gold wave, I had a gold, I had the blue, I had the blue wave. Like the list goes on. Like I was collecting multiple Vladdy Topps Chrome, and I had 0 Bowman Chrome autos. Fast forward now, I have no Topps Chrome autos. I have a blue Bowman Chrome auto.
Right.
So I'm thinking, I personally like Bowman Chrome in general right now, but I do really like 2019 Topps Chrome Vladdy autos. I think they're the eye appeal on the card, especially the blue, and his auto is way better on the 2019 than it is. It looked like he signed it with his left hand on the Bowman Chrome, kind of like Acuna, but on the Bowman Chrome. Right. But his autos suck in general, but I know his Topps Chrome is probably one of his best autos out there. So I do like the blue. Normally I would go Bowman Chrome, but in this instance, I mean, colored numbered is looks way better than his 2016 Bowman Chrome base. And because it's a base auto, and maybe because I have a bias that I have a blue auto of the Bowman Chrome, I would get the probably Topps Chrome for that same price as the base for sure.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting because I'm kind of like I've always been, and it's no secret, first Bowman Chrome guy. That's my go-to, for any baseball player I like to collect. And, I love the card. And, Daryl, who's a loyal listener and, a guest of this podcast, is who I got the card from. And he got my Shohei card. We don't have to relive that moment. But I sold the Vladdy finally because I would want to pick up a numbered Topps Chrome, even like a non-Bowman Chrome, essentially, if it was numbered and it was a color match and all those other things, and
which is crazy.
So I'm with you. I like the deal, like the blue Topps Chrome, and then I threw in the min gem versus true gem, but even then it doesn't really matter.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, and like I think, I don't know if it's just a market, like us being in a bear market, like I'm more eager to get numbered cards now than the base card, which I got when when the hobby was really hyped up, and that's what you can afford. You know what I mean? Right. So I'd rather like essentially trade those in for numbered cards now, as many as possible, before the market goes back up.
Makes sense. Like, and I think on a bear market, it's at least what I find is you'll always have a comp for base cards. So sometimes it's not necessarily helping you. You see that price every day go down. Whereas colored, it could kind of withstand that dip. There's maybe not that many comps. Maybe that dip occurred in the wrong time where every day there's not a sale. So it works both ways. On a bull run, like it's the same way. It's like you have the liquidity of base that plays in your advantage. But you're right, in a bear market, it's working against you with the base as opposed to for you, right? So I like that move based on where Vladdy's market is. It's absolutely taken a crap over the last couple of years, I'd say, or at least this year was very disappointing, I'd say. But like I said, I said a hot take in a couple pods before that Vladdy's gonna have a good run after a very poor season, right? So hopefully his card prices bounce back.
This is the opportunity right now. If if you still believe, this is a perfect time to buy. So yeah, that's still my plan. I have about 6 with the eBay fees. I have about 600 US on hand, and I'm looking to reinvest right away into a better Vladdy card because I'm still a believer myself. So That's the plan, and have the eBay save search on the Topps Chrome Blue, and hopefully that comes up soon. Or a Bo Bichette Blue Bowman. It sold for $1,000 recently. I would love to have. I'm a big believer in Bo Bichette as well.
I think that's well priced. Yeah.
Enough Homer talk from us Torontonians. We'll wrap up this episode of Cards to the Moon. Thanks once again to our listeners and subscribers. We'll have a brand new episode for you next Tuesday. See you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.